This episode was originally a premium episode that was released on January 30th, 2025 on Supercast exclusively. If you enjoyed this episode and you want more premium content, you can go sign up by going to our website, theoriesofthethirdkind.com, clicking right there directly in the middle where it says Supercast, and signing up to become an exclusive member and get access to over 250 exclusive episodes.
Do it!
So feel free to do that if you want to. No pressure. Otherwise, enjoy this episode and we will see you next week.
Welcome to
Theories
of the Third Kind.
Welcome. First off, I want to say thank you to whomever you are listening or watching for opening your minds to receive extra knowledge nuggets each week. It means a lot to all of us, and we want you to know that. Also, since you are a premium subscription subscriber, remember that you get priority in topic suggestions.
So feel free to shoot those suggestions on over to us by email, or you can write us a personal letter and send it to our P.O. box. And then Dan will retrieve it and we'll open it, read it, and then put it away for safekeepings. And that right there is what we do with them. And then we shove them up Dan's ass. All right. So today's episode.
Please coat it with zinc and vitamin C.
Oh, yeah. Dan's sick.
If you can't hear.
In his throat. I tell him he needs, never mind. All right. So today's episode is over the 4chan UFO egg.
Egg?
Egg. And how today's episode will go is that we'll talk about the 4chan post. Actually, we're going to talk about the regular episode a little bit because it kind of correlates with this episode. And then we'll talk about the 4chan post, go into the Q&A, and then strange facts and findings, theories, and then wrap it all up with our own personal thoughts and theories. But with that being said, let's get into today's episode. Now, like we said, it's over the 4chan UFO egg. However, before we get into today's topic, we have a few things that we need to first explain. So the regular episode, if you haven't listened to it yet, it's titled UFO Egg Whistleblower. And that whistleblower was an individual named Jacob Barber, and people call him Jake Barber. And he was in the military for over 30 years. He was a helicopter pilot who supposedly retrieved crashed UAPs or crashed aircrafts or crafts or unidentified crafts in a specific location for the United States government and other military contractors or businesses. And he did this for quite a while. And one of the crafts he retrieved, he explained, was an egg-shaped craft that was smooth, and it was the size of an SUV. And he made a whole bunch of other claims too during his whistleblowing that, you know, there was these individuals called psionics that could summon up UAPs, you know, a lot of crazy things. But the main thing is that he made a claim inside there that he retrieved a UFO that was in the shape of an egg, that pretty much looked like an egg, that was the size of an SUV. And then he transported it to some secret facility and the government took it over. All right. Now, since you know that, we're going to talk about what 4chan is real quick. So 4chan is a website where individuals can go to and anonymously post certain things. Usually it's a graphic and then they attach like a subject line to it along with like a paragraph. Now there's different subsections on 4chan, and they call them boards. Like there is the X board, and that is not a sexual board, but that is a board for individuals who want to discuss the paranormal. They go there and they post like pictures of ghosts or whatever they want to, and other individuals can comment under that picture, and it can all be anonymous, or you can sign up if you want. But there's also other boards on 4chan like POL, POL, which is politically incorrect, and it's where individuals can discuss politics. And there's a bunch of other ones like the board B, which is just like a random board. But about 99% of the posts on 4chan are degenerate posts. It's either porn or racism or something like that. Okay. But every now and then, an individual will go onto that website and release some highly classified information anonymously. And that is what supposedly happened and what we are going to talk about today on our episode. So with that being said, Dan, you want to start it off?
Of course. All right, so like we previously mentioned in the regular episode, we talked about a whistleblower who came forward named Jacob Barber, or Jake Barber. Now, Barber would give an interview to NewsNation in which he talked about how he was part of a UFO retrieval program. He was the helicopter pilot who would fly to a specific location, retrieve the downed or crashed UFO UAPs. Well, one of the crafts he retrieved was a craft that was the size of an SUV and that looked like an egg, like we stated earlier.
Yeah. And like we said, this interview was released on Saturday, January 18th, 2025. And I don't know if I said that earlier. I might have not have, but that interview by Jacob Barber was released January 18th, 2025 on a Saturday. Only 2 days later, on Monday, January 20th, 2025, on the website 4chan, an anonymous individual made a post on the X board, which, like I said earlier, the X board is for paranormal or ghost or aliens or anything like fringe. That's where people post that type of stuff at.
All right, so this anonymous user's post had the subject line that said, egg-shaped UAPs. Thus, the user attached a video to the post that was 20 seconds long and had the file name of 2022-03-12, Antarctica, Queen Elizabeth Range.
Also, along with the video, the anonymous user stated, and we quote, "The video you are about to view features a UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, recovered in Antarctica in 2022. In contrast to the recently disclosed footage from 2 days ago, the UAP in this video is of ancient origin and was discovered within a cave, AMA, as in Ask Me Anything."
Ooh.
And we do have a screenshot of that post right there for everyone to take a look at.
So the video itself has a majority of a green tint to it, which some speculate that it was recorded in night vision. Then the video itself is very similar to the one that was released 2 days prior by NewsNation. It is the point of view from a helicopter looking downwards at a tethered line from the helicopter as it's picking up an egg-shaped craft below and transporting it.
Now, we do have this video, and we are going to watch it right now.
That's right, there's no sound.
That thing is swaying. It is swaying. So yeah, the video is exactly what Dan described.
20 seconds long.
20 seconds long. It's at nighttime, and it's the downward view of a tethered line picking up some egg-shaped craft and transporting it. So, of course, after individuals watched this video on that 4chan post, they began posting questions to this anonymous user. You can go on that post that he made and comment on it and ask him questions, and he or she could comment back and answer your questions. And that's what he ended up doing, or she ended up doing. And we do have the majority of the questions that were asked, along with the answers provided by the anonymous user, which we are going to go over. Dan is going to be the individuals asking the questions, which all of these questions are asked by different people. It's not the same person asking the question, but the person answering the question is the same individual, the anonymous poster. Dan's going to be the person asking the questions. I'm going to be the anonymous poster. Okay. And that's how we're going to do this next part, because there are a lot of questions, but they have a lot of good information.
All right. First question. Who are you?
The anonymous poster replied with, next question.
You bitch.
Didn't even answer it. He just said, next question.
Where did you get this video?
Antarctica, November of 2022.
Did you take the video?
No.
Why does it look extremely similar to the NewsNation video?
Same, and I quote, civilization and same purpose.
Why now to release this?
I cannot answer that.
Can you tell us at least who you worked for and what your job?
Department of Defense, the DoD.
Same task force as Jake Barber?
No.
Care to share any details whatsoever on the object?
Seems to be of ancient origin. There is no way of getting inside of it, but it does seem to be hollow. It's not that heavy. The material is unknown, but it is some kind of metal.
Why did you put civilization in quotes?
What was found inside of the cave was more like a military base than a civilization. I don't know what these non-human entities were doing. The place was abandoned, which we're going to pause right there. I don't know if he ever stated prior, but this supposed craft, according to him, was found in Antarctica inside of a cave. That's how they found it in a cave. And spoiler alert, there's like a sarcophagus or a coffin of some type that was next to this UAP, this egg-shaped UAP that had a being inside of it. And he talks about that here in a little bit.
If you didn't record, who did?
As in recorded in the video.
Yeah, the video.
He states, UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, UNOOSA.
What were you doing in Antarctica in November of 2022?
Retrieving ancient artifacts or technology. We found a live, non-human, sentient being within a coffin-like pod. It doesn't use cryogenics, but it has kept the entity alive, as in the pod or coffin didn't use cryogenics. It didn't freeze the entity. There was some way that this pod was keeping this being alive, is what he's saying.
What is the place of origin of this video file? Earliest known origin.
The video was recorded by UN Office for Outer Space Affairs. Antarctica is a no man's land. So this was a, and I quote, team effort. The pilots were American, but most of the scientific and archaeological teams were European.
The creature was found in a pod. Did you look at it?
I have photos of them. They are tall, 8 feet tall. God damn, they should be in the NBA. They have white, long hair and a human face. Yet there is something off. The entity is alive and recuperated quite fast from their, and I quote, sleep.
Got any word on any other whistleblowers coming out soon?
No, but I wouldn't trust most of the ones you see on those Congress streams. There are 2 groups. As most of you know here, one wants disclosure. The other groups don't. Let's just say the others are presenting you BS, as in bullshit. You're getting more info here, now.
Did you interact with it?
And I'm guessing they mean
the alien.
The alien being. No, but I spoke with someone who did. The entity learns quite fast. They learned English and German in less than a week. God damn, smart ass alien. And tall too.
Yeah.
And it's got a dick. Spoiler alert.
Yep, a weird one. Here's asking the main questions. Did the being have human-like genitals?
Yes and no. The penis is similar to that of a human. We do have photos of it. But the tip is similar to that of a chimpanzee's. The scrotum is just like ours. By the way, I did not Google what a chimpanzee's penis looks like, and I am not going to. Don't want to know.
I think if you go through one of the threads, you'll find out.
Okay.
The guy said he has many photos too. So, yeah. Anyway, did he talk through vocals or telepathy?
He can do both, yet the second form only works with some of our teams, as in the telepathy. Some of the people who interacted with him didn't listen to his telepathic communication in their heads. According to him, it has to do with, and I quote, acceptance.
How did his voice sound?
According to the astrobiologist I spoke with, the voice sounds like your own. It's strange. He basically said, it sounds like when you're thinking a monologue.
Can you let us know anything he said?
Many things. Number one, he was born here 700 years ago. God dang, you old ass bitch.
Oh.
He says the closer we get to understand God was the corpus hermeticum. He considers us selfish and childish. He says we were happier during his time. Can't tell you more than this. And then he says, number 5, their race saved us millions of years ago from our creators, who basically engineered us to serve them. Earth should be treasured. It's a miracle.
What info do you have about their origin, culture, and reason to be there?
And I'm guessing he's still talking. They're still asking questions about this alien entity.
Yeah.
We're still trying to understand their origins. His notion of space and time is different from ours. They came here as space missionaries. When they arrived, another advanced race was already here. This other race created Homo neanderthalensis to serve them and help them take Earth's resources. However, it was a failure, and Homo sapiens was created later on. When the space missionaries arrived, they entered into a war with the other race to save us Homo sapiens. Since then, they have been protecting us. In fact, back in 1975, they stopped a nuclear war. The other race, according to this entity, represents what we could become if we do not change. Advanced oppressors with no spirituality to guide us. Their last conflict here on Earth occurred in 1561 during the celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg, which the 1561 Nuremberg UFO, we covered that.
We did.
Yeah. So I want to pause right there. That's pretty crazy. I've never heard of, similar theories, as in our creators created us to serve them, And the Anunnaki stated that, okay, they created us to mine gold, right?
I love gold.
And then after that, I guess you have these space missionaries coming to save us. Have you heard about another Lord and Savior? Yeah. Anyways, very interesting.
Definitely interesting. Another question asked by 4chan. Were these creators of Neanderthals the Anunnaki?
Anunnaki was a human given name, but yes, the myth was born from that event. The entities that created us were, according to the one in the Antarctic cave, selfish, devoid of spirituality, materialistic, and parasitic. Sounds familiar. They are still around, with some of them remaining in underground areas. The conflict between these two groups has given rise to many myths in the human mind. Prometheus, Satan versus Jesus, and so on.
Why are they always hiding?
They come from a culture where each sentient being must walk alone and, as he put it, be initiated through their own suffering. He claims they hide because there was a time when they were always with us, but we didn't evolve. We did not develop. We were like children, and apparently we still are. Although he has been asleep for many years, he has maintained contact with the others through unknown means. He tells us that something big is happening this year.
Are recovery missions coordinated through your single department, or are multiple nations involved under this UNOOSA directive?
Multiple.
What are the protocols for securing a crash site? Are private contractors involved, or is it exclusively handled by government agencies?
Securing a crash site, especially one involving a UAP, is tightly controlled by government agencies. Military units establish a perimeter, assess hazards, and prevent unauthorized access. Private contractors may assist with logistics or technical support, but work under strict government supervision and NDAs. Communication is heavily encrypted, and materials are quickly transported to secure facilities. Secrecy and containment are the top priorities, not safety.
Never safety. What are the primary concerns during retrieval? Security, contamination, or potential retaliation?
The primary concerns during retrieval include ensuring the crash site is contained to prevent unauthorized access and securing any sensitive materials. There's also a significant focus on preventing contamination, as the objects could pose biological, chemical, or radiological risks. Specialized teams are equipped to handle these hazards while protecting personnel and the surrounding environment. Another concern is the possibility of retaliation, either from the origin of the object or from adversarial groups seeking to exploit the situation. Maintaining secrecy and operational control is essential throughout this process.
More details on the abandoned military base.
So then he states the cave was enormous. So I'm guessing the cave where the egg was found and this coffin with this alien being, it was actually an abandoned military base from those beings. That's what I'm getting.
I kind of go into it a little bit later, but remember Admiral Byrd?
Mm-hmm.
When he flew down into Antarctica?
Mm-hmm.
He found an underground, base or whatever.
Yeah, and some state it was the Hollow Earth or whatever, but
they believe that this was the military base. It wasn't really a civilization. It was more like a military base, and I think this is what it's getting a lot of the information from.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so the question was more details on the abandoned military base. The anonymous poster states, the cave was enormous. I can share some photos in a few hours. By the way, I am not suicidal. If I go silent without sharing anything else, fear the worst. I am not joking. The base was underground, no tech, only the egg and the pod with the sleeping entity. There was a strange metallic box containing a few tomes or books in languages which seemed to be a mix of Sumerian and Proto-European. We're still analyzing it, but the entity refuses to give us any detailed description.
Would you comment on what lies are being told by the other faction?
Number 1, aliens are not demons. Number 2, there are no remote viewers finding UAPs. Number 3, there are no alien dead bodies. All are alive and work with us because they want in all capital letters, 2. Some because they want to continue with the abduction project, while others, like those working with us, want to see us flourish. If they wanted to leave, they would, and we couldn't stop them. They are hiding, and if we had, and I quote, dead bodies, believe me, they would fetch them in a heartbeat, whatever we wanted it or not. I guess that either if they wanted the dead bodies or not, the aliens are going to get them anyways.
Yeah.
And then he goes, they are not surrendering the UAPs to us. These civilizations are millions of years old, and we are ants compared to them. Most retrievals are from ancient machinery, abandoned, basically. They don't crash per se, although during their conflicts in deserted areas, we might find crashed ones.
The CIA remote viewed a race on Mars that was 10 feet tall, I believe. Their planet had geologic problems. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, we call it temporal view. The remote viewer saw the past. In fact, he was seeing the last survivors of the Martian War. And the asteroid belt, from what I've read, it's from a destroyed planet.
Do human beings have a non-local consciousness? If so, do we get to keep it after we die?
He, as in the alien being, speaks of something similar to reincarnation. He even said, and we quote, "Nothing is lost, nothing is created, everything is transformed." He claims we humans can reincarnate in other planets and universes. And that right there was the last question that the anonymous user answered on that thread. And then for a little bit, he ended up going silent. No one heard from him. And at this point, individuals started posting on that original thread, assuming that all of this was made up and that the anonymous poster had been either, lying or it was all real and that he was or she was killed or kidnapped or something. However, the very next day, Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, the anonymous user made a new post on the X board of 4chan.
The post had the subject line of egg-shaped UAP and pod in Antarctica photos. The post itself stated, and we quote,
"It's me again. As I promised a few hours ago, here are some of the photos of the Antarctica retrieval mission in Queen Elizabeth's Range. Photo 1, egg UAP. Photo 2, egg UAP, another angle. Photo 3, hieroglyphs on the cave's wall. Photo 4, pod, where the entity was sleeping. Photo 5, pod, where the entity was sleeping, another angle. Sorry for the delay." End quote.
And yes, he did provide those photographs, which we will put up right now.
And also, we're going to provide the screenshot of the post he made. But those photos are very odd. You can see the egg-shaped UFO in the first one, and then the next one looks like you're at inner space caverns, right? You're going down in the caverns, got the smooth wall from the water drippage. I don't see the hieroglyphics he's talking about.
It's the weird dark wet spots.
Oh, they look just like someone peed on the wall.
If you look at the very right, not the very right, but in the middle to the right some, it looks like, you know, the movie Men in Black, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Those little ant guys or whatever they are. The centipede looking guys. The ones that are always smoking in the coffee break.
Oh, yeah.
That last one looks exactly like that. You have to look just a little closer. You can see like
turn your computer and show me where it's at.
This one right here. You see the legs here, little antennas here. It looks like a little being, like kind of like squatting. Like,
I don't know. I don't see it, but I don't have that good of an imagination. So, if you are a loved one, see what Dan's talking about.
You don't see it?
No, not at all.
Hang on, I got you. Hang on.
Yeah, pull it up and draw over it.
So this is what I did. I just took a screenshot of the area. The legs, body, like the head, antenna here. You can see like little arm coming out here.
That looks like a demon.
Yeah, like a demon. It looks like something.
Yeah, like a big old entity. That's strange. Got a demon in the cave.
Demon in the cave. But hey, he said that they are not demons.
Yeah. All right. So just like the previous thread, he immediately goes into answering questions, and this thread, this part 2, the second one, this new one, it just gets flooded with more comments and questions, and he starts answering them. And we're going to go down them just like we did with the other ones.
First question. Why was he there alone?
As in the entity. He refuses to tell us, and believe we did try. I'm guessing he's saying, and believe us, we did try to ask him.
Did he say what this year's big thing would be? Is it good or bad?
He speaks of countless natural disasters, a third world war, and a looming conflict between his race and our creators. Tensions beneath the surface are apparently reaching a breaking point. He speaks of a possible reset for human civilization, so we can start all over again. That would suck.
War 3 over TikTok. Did something happen?
To me, yes, but I am okay now. Don't worry.
Why do the photos have so much noise and grain?
Night vision, and these are not the raw files. They were photos taken off of a monitor at an undisclosed location.
You got any more photos or videos of the inside of the caves?
Yes, but legally, this is as far as I can go for now.
What is the purpose of the reset, and what will it achieve?
According to him, mankind needs to start all over in order to become capable of reaching, and I quote, God, or so he says. He claims we are too corrupted.
So you woke him up, right? So what if you hadn't? Would he still be asleep, and how long for?
He was taken to a certain location. I won't disclose which one. And after a few hours, he woke up on his own. They didn't touch anything because they had no idea how that pod worked. And they feared that meddling with the wrong thing could kill him. I think he was probably waiting for the team as if he knew.
Did he allude to the likelihood of a reset taking place?
Yes.
Is it very likely, or is there any factors that could make them decide otherwise?
if mankind unites as one, and if we stop polluting the planet like we are.
How do they even reset us?
Massive destruction. Let's put it like this. They say they have to fight fire with fire.
Kill most of humanity and destroy all signs that we existed. Flood the earth?
Atlantis and other old civilizations were destroyed by them in order to protect the world, so it's nothing new to them, really.
If we sort of reincarnate, why do we lose our memories from previous lives? I assume it is also possible for other entities to reincarnate on Earth and they, or we, don't have memories about it.
Earth is essentially like, and I quote, hell, a place where those who reincarnate didn't have the best karma. There are countless planets like ours where the sentient population transforms their world into a realm of suffering and despair. Jesus.
Damn. Did the alien tell you his name?
Good question. According to him, since they exist as a unified entity now, essentially functioning as a single collective consciousness, they no longer need names. Instead, they use a term akin to brother or sister, though it's completely genderless. Hey there, brother. Listen, brother, you got to be good. You got to switch over to mankind to be good. You got to get closer with God, brother.
Why are you telling us this?
Because understanding our potential place in a large cosmic context is vital. If these experiences reflect genuine phenomena, they could redefine humanity's understanding of itself and its relationship to the universe. Sharing knowledge encourages curiosity, skepticism, and dialogue, key components for growth.
Is there any aspect of humanity or our culture that this species likes or finds pleasant?
Art, music, and storytelling.
Nice. Is there a location that people can go to find undeniable proof?
Yes.
You say this all you can post for now legally. What allows you to post these legally and why 4chan, if legal?
I don't want to sound cringe, but once it's on 4chan, it's everywhere. The info I am giving you is already on Reddit and other sites. Soon it will spread like fire. All thanks to you. So after that last comment right there, a lot more posts started coming in from an anonymous person from that same thread. And all of these posts stated, attention, I am the OP, as in original poster. At this point, I am noticing many people pretending to be me. The people are working with the US government. Don't believe in further information besides my last one. Don't be fooled. I am now closing contact.
And a lot of people started speculating that the original anonymous poster was gone. However, one last comment came in. This comment stated,
OP here, as in the original anonymous poster, with a last message. This picture I am sharing is the original I took before doing the collage that I posted originally. You can see the details and confirm it. There are US government agents pretending to be me. Don't accept any other answers after. You are all being victims of disinformation from these other accounts. I will find a way to communicate with you all through other methods. Stay safe and don't interact with the agents. And we have that last post with that last photograph that this individual attached as proof.
it looks like one of those fancy NFL locker room ice baths.
It looks like the, what is it we did an episode over? That box.
Oh,
the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
No, it's pretty big though.
That's what she said.
Huh. Yeah, so after that comment, the entire post pretty much went to shit and no one believed anything else and everyone was commenting random stuff. Of course, both of those 4chan posts, the one from Monday and the second part from Tuesday, ended up going viral. Tons of news agencies picked up the story and a lot of UFO forums and subreddits began analyzing the photos and discussing the posts themselves.
And that is the story of the 4chan UFO egg. However, the episode does not stop here because now we're going to get into the strange facts and findings that we discovered whenever we dove deeper into this topic.
All right, so our first strange fact and finding is about Queen Elizabeth's Range, located in Antarctica. Not to be confused with the mountain ranges in Canada, which I didn't know there was one in Canada too.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine this, though. A vast ice wilderness where towering peaks rise like frozen mountains against a sky that seemed to stretch forever in the Antarctic. Just forever mountains, ice everywhere.
Cold. This mountain range would be named in honor of Queen Elizabeth II by J.H. Miller of the New Zealand Party of the Commonwealth Transatlantic or Antarctic Expedition from 1956 to 1958. Now, this range is located on the edge of the Ross Ice Shelf, where if you look to the west, you will see the Nimrod Glacier, all hail Nimrod, and to the east, you will see the Beardmore Glacier. Now, between these two big-ass fucking glaciers is where Queen Elizabeth's Range resides, stretching over 100 miles of some of the most rugged glacier terrain around. Its highest peak, Mount Kirkpatrick, is one of the tallest mountains in Antarctica, standing a whopping 14,856 feet high. That motherfucker's tall. And we do have a photograph of it. Not of the mountain, just of the, Antarctica, where the Queen Elizabeth Range is located.
Now, other than its beautiful icy view, this range is a treasure trove for scientists, geologists, and paleontologists, which have discovered fossilized remains of ancient plants and animals here. Those remains tell a story of how Antarctica used to be a lush green continent teeming with all sorts of life. But what about extraterrestrial life?
Well, Antarctica as a whole has long been a hotspot for speculation of the unknown. Only thing, though, is that there is no documented evidence of UFO sightings or odd occurrences happening in that range, at least nothing public, until the 4chan post. Even then, it's kind of like, is it real or not? We'll talk about that during the theory section.
That being said, though, Admiral Richard E. Byrd, Little America's base, was established on the Ross Ice Shelf near the Bay of Whales. It was during this expedition that there were reported encounters with UFOs. And according to various accounts, even by Admiral Byrd himself, the mission experienced several UFO sightings.
These ranged from brightly lit objects in the sky to disc-shaped craft that followed the expedition, and some would say they would engage in military-style maneuvers, such as diving towards the expedition's planes and then pulling up at the last moment, kind of like fucking with them, Then there was the supposed discovery of the underground base or hollow earth that Admiral Richard E. Byrd found beneath the ice and stated that it belonged to extraterrestrial beings. And we covered that quite a bit in previous episodes, especially the Hollow Earth episode.
That was a good episode.
Yeah. And that right there is our first strange fact and finding. The Queen Elizabeth's Range, where this UFO egg and alien entity was discovered in a ex-military base in a cave. Yep. All right. So our next strange fact and finding is called historical sightings. And we had previously did this strange fact and finding on our regular episode, but we didn't really dive that deep into the sightings. And in this episode, we're going to dive pretty deep into them and give you the details and all that. And as we dove deeper into researching this topic, we decided to step into our library and see if there have been any previous sightings of UFOs that are egg-shaped. Now, what we discovered was that in the UFO community, there have been reports of egg-shaped crafts throughout the decades.
The 1964 Lonnie Zamora incident in Socorro, New Mexico, where a police officer witnessed an egg-shaped craft leaving scorch marks on the ground.
So let me tell you about that story. Let me take you back to April 24th of 1964. A day etched in UFO lore, okay? Picture this. Socorro, New Mexico. A dusty, just nasty little town where nothing much really happens. Enter Lonnie Zamora, a no-nonsense police officer with a reputation for being steady, reliable, and not the type to spin tall tales. He shot straight from the hip. So there he is, chasing a speeding car down a desert road, when suddenly, boom, a thunderous roar shakes the ground beneath his vehicle. He glances up and spots a blue-orange flame streaking towards the hills. Now, Zamora's first thought Maybe a dynamite shack nearby had exploded. But duty calls. So he veers off and decides to investigate. He bumps his patrol car over the rough terrain, driving it, going, fucking people blowing up these dynamite shacks, these pieces of shit. He's all pissed off, and he parks and decides to hike up a slope. And there it is. As he's hiking up, he stops. An egg-shaped craft, gleaming like polished aluminum, resting on girder-like legs. And it's not alone. Two small figures in white coveralls are shuffling nearby. This is every day I'm shuffling. That's what they were doing. They were shuffling nearby with their feet. They're going boop, 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 boop. Zamora, right? Lonnie. He's thinking, what the fuck? At first he thinks they're kids. These are just kids just shuffling. But then they vanish into the egg-shaped craft. Suddenly, the thing erupts. A deafening roar just emits out loud, and flames start blasting from its base, and it goes up, soaring over the desert before vanishing into the sky. Zamora, his heart is pounding, and he ends up, after the initial shock and standing there being like, what the fuck did I just see? He ends up running back to his police car, running. He trips, falls down, rolls, motherfucker, gets back up, dusts himself off, runs back to the car, gets in it, and he nearly tears the hinges off his door getting back into it.
The adrenaline pumping.
Yeah. Now, others would end up arriving back at the scene, and when they investigated the area, they would find a scorched brush, 4 rectangular impressions in the dirt, and a deeply shaken cop. Now, skeptics, when they hear about this story, they're like, no other witnesses, you know? How convenient. But here's the kicker. Project Blue Book, the Air Force's own UFO investigators, they took this sighting extremely seriously. They interviewed Lonnie Zamora and studied the site where it supposedly happened. And they stamped it as unidentified. No hoax, no hallucinations. Even physicist J. Allen Hynek, a notorious skeptic, he called it one of the most baffling cases he had ever seen. So what was it then? Was it a secret military experiment? Zamora swore it wasn't. He knew what the Army was dealing with then. He knew everyone in the area. He knew what the Army was experimenting with. And he stated that this was not human-made. This was otherworldly. So Lonnie Zamora stuck to his story until the day he died. He made no profit off of it, didn't get that much fame. He was just a man, police officer on duty who saw something that he could not explain. And till the day he died, he stuck with his story, and no one could really tell him what he saw or explain what he saw, you know? And that's that. That is one of the most famous UFO egg-shaped stories, and that was from 1964. Yeah, you think those alien kids, they stole their parents' car?
Oh, 100%.
They landed and they're like, fuck, look at us. We're at Earth, bitch. We're at Earth. And they're dancing. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, we're at Earth. We're at Earth. And they stop. They see the police. Fuck. They run back and get in it and take off.
Plot twist. It was Aaron and I. We stole the fucking egg shape.
We time traveled. We did that. Oh, man. All right. So let's talk about this next encounter. Tell us the first part of it, Dan.
The next one is the Voronezh UFO encounter in 1989. Involving a purported egg-shaped object seen by multiple witnesses in Russia.
All right. Story time with Aaron again. I hope you all enjoyed the first one.
I did.
You did? You ready for another one?
Yes, I am. Code is too.
All right. So let me whisk you back to the autumn time frame of 1989. I was only 1 year of age. Daniel had just been birthed from his mother's vagina.
Oh, I'm a fresh baby. 2-3 couple months old.
Yes. Now, during this period, it was a time when the Iron Curtain still hung heavy and secrets simmered behind the Soviet walls because the Soviet Union was still a thing. But in the city of Voronezh, nestled along the banks of the Don River, something slipped through the cracks. Something strange.
Ooh.
So picture this, okay? September 27th, 1989. Twilight is creeping in, and I'm not talking about Bella and Edward, okay?
Damn. No sparkly.
A group of children are playing soccer in a park. Their laughter is echoing under a dusty sky. Suddenly, one boy freezes, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing? We're playing soccer, you dumbass." And he's just sitting there. And he points, slowly raising his hand, points to the sky. A glowing crimson sphere hovers overhead. No sound, no warning. It pulses like a heartbeat and then descends, landing softly in the shadows of the trees. Now, all the other kids at this point stop too, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. The hell is that?
The hell is that? Now, as this craft lands, out steps not a man or a woman, or they them. 3 towering figures, might have been a they them, I don't know. 3 towering figures, each nearly 10 feet tall, walk out from the craft. The kids go, "Holy shit, that motherfucker's tall." Their skin of these 10-foot tall beings, a shimmering bronze.
They tan very well.
Their heads topped with disc-like hats. And their legs are not normal. They have 3 of them, all moving in eerily unison. One's not a leg. One's a penis.
One's not a leg.
Now they have a single glowing eye in the center of their foreheads. And what makes it even worse, these scary-ass, big-ass beings are not alone. A small, boxy robot walks behind them, scuttling like a mechanical spider. One boy, the one who initially stopped, is paralyzed by curiosity, or perhaps by something more sinister. He was scared of those motherfucking beings because he begins staring as one of the beings raises a tube-like device towards the child. A beam flashes. Pow! The child collapses. Frozen. The figures retreat. Moments later, the sphere rockets skyward, vanishing in a streak of a light. That's what happened. Aliens came down, did a drive-by on a fucking kid, and took off.
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah. And some people, they might scoff. They say, children's imaginations. But wait, the next day, Soviet scientists arrive at the location of where the children spotted the craft. They find a scorched ground, deep triangular imprints, and radiation signatures. Even the state-run TASS news agency breaks the story. And this is like a rare admission from a regime that buried UFO reports. They wouldn't talk about them because they were pretty fringe back then. Now, at this point, whenever they publish this news story, witnesses start pouring in. A bus driver, a woman hanging laundry, all of them describing the same crimson orb. You know, skeptics state it was just mass hysteria. Or maybe it's Cold War propaganda. Yet, how do you explain the physical traces, the radiation, the triangular imprints? Or what about the terror in those children's eyes? Or one boy's mother swore he had aged overnight, that the boy had streaks of gray in his hair randomly appearing. Now, this case ends up fading, as most mysteries do. The Iron Curtain eventually falls, the Soviet Union. This town returns to its quiet life. But to this day, those who were there, that child, those children, they remember. So was this a Soviet experiment gone rogue? A hallucination woven by fear? Or perhaps visitors from a world beyond our stars? We will never know, but their craft was in the shape of an egg.
It was the shape of an egg.
And those motherfuckers did a drive-by. You little ass bitch. Pa-pa. That's what they said to that kid. They shot him. And he had gray hair after that. I feel your pain. So that was our second story. I hope you enjoyed it.
So you got to think, though, out of all those kids, one kid gets picked out and gets shot, frozen, and then just fucking left on the ground.
He's like, why me? Why'd you shoot me?
Probably he's the one that probably pointed at him first. So they're just like,
fuck this kid. Papa.
He was trying to attack us.
Yeah. All right. So let's get on to our last historical UFO account of an egg-shaped object.
All right. So the last one is the Area 51 Eric Tabor egg-shaped UFO from the 1980s.
Do you want me to take over and do Aaron's story time for this one?
Yes.
Okay. Aaron's story time number 3. If you all fucking hate it, comment down below. Say we hate you story time, Aaron.
Hey, it's helping me.
It.
It's helping my voice box recover.
Yeah, his voice box, his box needs help.
My box needs help, and it's scratchy.
Yeah.
It hurts.
So you get my story time, okay? So here we go, all right? I want you all to rewind yourself back to the 1980s. And if you don't know what that's like, just imagine this. Imagine big-ass hair, lots of hair. Everybody back then had lots of hair on their head, and they had lots of hair on their genitals. Big bushes everywhere. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You got a bush? Cool. You know, rock it. Rock it with a bikini. Let the edges hang out. Make a statement. You know what I'm saying?
Braid it. Let it show. Let it flow.
Yeah. Let wear a bikini with a bush hanging out the sides. That's what I'm all about. I'd be like, damn, she's making a statement. Right on. Or if you're a dude, cool. You know, rock it. Own it. But that's what the 1980s was all about. Bushes, big hair, and it was the peak of Cold War paranoia. We were going to go to war. Or we weren't. Were we going to get nuked? We weren't sure. But
our bushes are out.
But out in the Nevada, or how do they pronounce it? Nevada, or whatever. Out in that big-ass desert. Near a place whispered about in every conspiracy circle is Area 51. And at this location, something strange would unfold. A story wrapped in shadows, told by a man named Eric Tabor. I got an interesting story about a guy named Tabor in the nuclear world.
That name sounds very...
I worked with an individual, side story. I worked with an individual named Michael Tabor.
Is this the guy that likes to eat his own boogers?
Yes, that's exactly him.
Okay.
He was about 50 years old. I worked with him at DC Cook as an independent contractor. And I worked with him for about 2 months. And he was notorious for picking his nose, rolling it into a ball, and eating it. Keep in mind, this is like a 50-year-old man, maybe 60. Old ass bitch. I was in my early 20s. I go to the break room, which I rarely did because they like to work our ass off at DC Cook. And I worked with a guy named Sweatopotamus. He's a big dude who sweated so much, but he fucking worked his ass off. And I worked my ass off with him. Tried to match him and I couldn't. Anyway, go to the break room. There's Michael Tabor, right? Sitting in the break room. And he goes, he's talking to some random dude. I'm sitting down. And he goes, you ever been to Thailand? Guy goes, no. He goes, I tell you what, after an outage, I go to Thailand. That's where I live. You can get anything there for, you take a $10 bill and you can buy anything you want. You could buy a little boy if you wanted to.
Ooh.
And I was like, what the? So I never talked to that individual ever again while I was there. What a creep. Michael Tabor.
Nicknamed Tabortooth.
Tabortooth is what we call him. Tabortooth.
Oh, man.
Fucking weirdo.
I remember him. He's the reason I stopped walking over to the RP trailer at Seabrook. Because first time I walked over there to go get somebody, I see him there sitting there. You can tell he just picked his nose and the booger was on his finger. Next thing you know, he's just rolling it on his pants leg.
That's where he stored them for later snacks. Yeah.
And you think we're lying.
Disgusting. We're not lying.
Not lying.
There's some fucking crazy people in the nuclear industry. Crazy. They're so smart that they're dumb socially. And it's so entertaining because I used to go inside the break room and I would just say one sentence and it would get everyone to start arguing with one another. If you just bring up like, Obama, huh? And then just turn around and walk out. Oh my God, they would argue for hours. It was so entertaining.
Yep.
Anyway, so let's continue back with the original story, the one from Eric Tabor. Okay, it's the 1980s. Eric's a construction worker. Rough hands, no nonsense attitude. He was hired for a job near Groom Lake, which is Area 51. Now, one scorching afternoon, he's sweating. Nice bead of sweat's going from the top of his hairline down to his ball fro. He's hauling equipment when he spots something shimmering on the horizon. At first, he thinks, maybe it's a mirage. The desert plays tricks on the mind, right? But no, this is a real thing. It's an egg-shaped craft, smooth as polished bone, hovering silently just above the scrubland. No wings, no exhaust, no sound. It's just there, hovering, existing. Eric, he swears it was the size of a small bus, glowing faintly under the desert sun. Now, as he's like, what the fuck? Just staring at it, sweat pouring down his head, sun beating down on him. He's watching it intently. He can't get his eyes to move away from it. He's just staring at it, and then it moves. Not like a plane or a helicopter. This egg-shaped UAP ends up drifting sideways, defying physics, before shooting off towards the mountains with a pair of unmarked black helicopters hot on its trail. Now, here's the kicker, though. Eric claims he wasn't the only one who had seen this. Other workers who were around saw Eric, looked in the direction he was looking, and they froze as well, their eyes unable to move from this object. Tools still in their hands, staring at this thing as it vanished into the horizon. Now, when Eric and the other workers tried to report this, men in suits ended up showing up. No badges, no names, just a firm warning to those roughnecks. Forget what you saw, or things will be bad. Now, skeptics usually roll their eyes. They say, oh, look, it's a secret technology, maybe experimental drones, maybe the government has something. And I mean, sure, Area 51's reputation is built on black projects. That's what it's known for, that site.
Yeah.
But Eric insists that this was no government craft. The egg-shaped, the eerie silence, the way it moved, he stated that the way it moved was almost like it was thinking, like it connected with him and made him stare at it until it was chased off by two helicopters. Now, shortly after this occurred, Eric ended up quitting his job. He stated that the men in suits repeatedly showed up and they would follow him, making threats towards him, almost gang stalking him. His story ended up slipping into the UFO community and late night radio. But the mainstream, Fox News, NBC, ABC, all those big players that are controlled, crickets. Never covered it.
Of course.
No government files, no press conferences, just a construction worker's word against the government. So what was it? Was it a peek at a next generation aircraft? Was it something out of this world? All we for sure know is that it was an egg-shaped craft. And that's it. And there you go. That's the third story. A fucking egg flying around. These eggs flying around everywhere.
Eric Tabor.
Eric Tabor, a.k.a. Tabortooth.
Tabortooth saw egg-shaped, wanted to eat it. Thought it was a booger.
All right, so that was the historical sightings, strange fact and finding. Now we are going to move on to our last strange fact and finding, which is about a post that was made on X, aka Twitter. I'll always think of it as Twitter.
Yep.
So on January 21st, 2025, a user on X, aka Twitter, named ProPixel Video Analysis and Research ended up making a post. Now in this post, it showed them importing these files of this egg-shaped UAP that was posted by the anonymous user. And they posted some text, and they said, "I'm 99.2% sure that these photos of this egg are real. My analysis, this is more significant than the videos we've seen in my mind if these things are real UAP eggs." And he's talking about the video of them being picked up.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying if these are real UAP eggs, they're more significant. And there have been reported photos of individuals pointing out hieroglyphics on the eggs themselves and trying to decipher them. But some individuals just think they're scratches. But other individuals are insisting that no, those are possible language etchings or markers. But yeah, that right there is our last strange fact and finding. And it rolls us into theories. All right. So our first theory is what, Dan?
Our first theory is that it's real. The 4chan posts, the threads, both of them, they're real. Aliens are riding around in these white, shiny eggs of a UFO.
I have a hard time believing this post, but I'm going to save my personal opinions for later. We're going to go on to the next theory, hoax for attention. This theory states that this entire post on 4chan was faked for views and attention, or possibly was faked by government officials to discredit Jacob Barber's initial whistleblowing 2 days prior, because the video that was posted was very similar to Jacob's. And in my mind, if government officials did that, maybe it was a way to get the public confused and then say, oh no, it's 4chan, automatically discredit it and not even look at the NewsNation post. So there's that theory.
Yeah. Or you got the last theory here. The government found out, took over the thread, and locked the other anonymous user out and made additional posts posing as the anonymous user as an imposter in order to discredit his claims.
I think that eventually happened.
That eventually happened.
I think the second part of the thread was taken over by government officials, and they ended up started, posting weird shit to discredit his claims.
Honestly, if anything, it'd probably be the whole thread itself was already discrediting Jacob Barber. Because you read about it, he's just like, there's two groups. The one that wants to disclose and the other non-disclose. And then they go on to talk about these ones that are going and talk in front of like Congress and all them. And they list Grush, Barber, the other guys that starts with the last name of E. Ed's forgot what it was. But
Eckhart?
No. It's like
Edson Barboza, UFC fighter.
No. It's like EDLIN, something like that. But list him to pretty much UFO whistleblowers, and they're just like discredit all of them because they went in front of Congress. They're all just discrediting. They're like giving you misinformation. What I'm giving you here is real information. So pretty much it's already starting to make you go between like, okay, are these the real like whistleblowers, or is this guy the real one? So it's already making you question yourself.
Yeah.
So it's
strange. The entire post is strange.
I never knew there was two groups.
Yeah.
I thought there was just one group just trying to fucking whistleblow.
So I have to ask you, do you believe the post is real? Do you believe the photographs and video is real? Or do you think it's an imposter? Or do you think it's made up and just someone's trying to get fame?
Ugh. I believe the video is real on this post, on the first thread. But I don't think it's like a UFO or something like that. I think it's something that they were moving, but you can't really tell exactly what it is because of the quality of the video. And the only thing that they could really say is that, oh, it must be a UFO. If anything, if it's moving around in Antarctica, who's to say it's not just a big ass round sphere of ice?
Mm-hmm.
They were probably cutting it, trying to get further deeper down in, trying to study, and it was just a big block of ice.
Then what are the photos of then?
Talking about the coffin?
Yeah.
Honestly,
device where they keep a steel box where they keep the cutting tools.
It could be that. I mean, you think about nukes, we have the steel things in there that
keep all of our tools and stuff.
Yeah.
Huh. You know, I kind of want to believe that, but and I hate being a skeptic. I want to believe that there is a cave in Antarctica where an old ancient race of alien beings used to have it as a military base, and the U.S. government or some individual discovered an egg and craft and an alien being. I want to believe it. I want to believe it so bad. But here's my thing. If those photographs were real, no way would they even survive online. The United States government has such a great ability to monitor anything that is posted anywhere online. They have access to everything we type, everything we take pictures of, everything we send. And I believe if an individual was to have access to classified UAP photographs or video and they posted it online within seconds, and I mean seconds, that website would go down. Those pictures and photographs would be scrubbed. The IP address would be traced back, and the FBI, CIA, DOD would be at that person's house arresting them and seizing all of their computer equipment and every single piece of electronic equipment they had within an hour, maybe less. I guarantee you that. So I don't think anyone can post anything online without, it being approved beforehand, just based on the U.S. government's capabilities of monitoring internet traffic. They monitor it so well. And for an example, I know someone very close who used Snapchat to make a post right as a plane was taking off. Something like, they didn't even send it to anybody. They made the post. They didn't post it. They just made it and said something like, I hope the plane doesn't, boom. Saved it, didn't post it, did not post it. The plane takes off. Jet comes in, tells the plane to make an emergency stop because Snapchat was alerted by the U.S. government for that save, not even post, not even story, that save. And what was posted, I hope the plane doesn't go, they sent in a jet to immediately tell that plane to come back down. And then that individual was taken off the plane and questioned for hours and then given like 6 months of house arrest, I think. So, yeah. And their home was raided as well. And their electronic devices were taken for a little while. Just for saying that and not even posting it, just saving it on Snapchat. It's crazy. Crazy. That right there tells you that the government has surveillance over everything. Sometimes I even wonder if they have fucking control of what we think based on some of the ads and shit I see. Shit I just thought about,
Yep.
But that's what I truly believe. I think it's just a person making the shit up, created the images on like Chat GPT or some AI software and ended up saying, hey, look, 2 days ago, everybody's talking about this. Let me post about it and become 4chan famous.
Oh yeah, there's more posts out there about egg-shaped UFOs coming out, and people are getting sick of it. And there's one out there that it's an egg in a cave, but this time now it has plants and flowers surrounding it. And people are just like, you could tell this is someone was like playing a game and they found like a circle or like a sphere or something in a game and they took a picture of it, or they used AI to create it. And then they like started pointing out, like, if you look here.
Maybe it's a way, maybe what Jacob Barber released Saturday was completely real, completely factual. And the government says we have to battle this somehow. How do we do it? We discredit a mass information discredit. Let's have someone post a post on 4chan that goes viral and then make everybody else start posting, making fun of it. And no one's going to look at Jacob's whistleblowing and what he posted. Maybe that's the case. Regardless, I don't think we'll ever know.
We'll never know. Because, I mean, sometimes do you believe 4chan or do you not believe it? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
Because you could post anonymously on there and you post whatever the hell you want, say whatever the hell you want.
Mm-hmm. But if you or a loved one have seen or encountered or made love with an egg-shaped UFO or in an egg-shaped UFO, please comment down below or send us an email. We would love to discuss that event with you.
And I know people are going to be like, why hasn't Dan said it? I know he wants to say it. It's not a saying pod.
Oh.
It's not.
Yeah.
As cool as that would be, it's not.
Yeah.
I thought about it after the regular. I'm just like, someone's going to say it. They're like, why didn't Dan say it? I'm like, it looks like one. It could be one, but it's not.
Yeah. But with that being said, do you have anything else you would like to add to today's episode?
Other than the fact 4chan confuses the hell out of me with the way the posts are, the threads.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while just to read the first thread to actually kind of like read the shit in order. Then like once I started spending a little time on there, I started getting the hang of it. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's quite difficult to understand it at first, but once you get used to it, you're like, oh, okay, what a fucking weird way to create a website.
It is a very weird way. And I mean, if y'all talk about somewhere that freedom of speech, holy shit.
They post some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
There are terms on there that my eyes would not ever want to see again.
Yeah. They say crazy shit.
Yeah.
But anyway. Well, that's the end of the episode today. I hope you all enjoyed it. And send Dan your health and love. Well wishes so he can get better.
Yeah, I think I'm near the tail end of it now, but it sucks. My throat hurts like hell. Coughing. But
some weird coughs too. It's like you're going to throw up, but you cough.
That's the one that wants me to do multiple coughs to where I throw up, and I tried to avoid it.
Ew.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we roll this out? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to do?
Anybody buy the new Innistrad remastered? We did.
MTG? Yeah.
I put a meat hook massacre. I'm proud.
Did? Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Set's not that exciting.
No, I mean, I don't know why I wasn't expecting there to be so much like werewolf stuff in there.
Ton of werewolves.
Like it's a lot. I thought there'd be like more vampire and demon stuff.
Speaking of that, did you see the new Nosferatu?
I have not seen that.
Bounce on it, crazy style.
I hear it's very good.
He's a freak. That vampire's a fucking freak.
I'm about to watch it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I just seen that part. Bounce on it, crazy style. But yeah, anyway. Well, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I hope you have a great week. And we love you, and we are proud of you, and thank you for everything. Thank you for your support, for your love, for your well wishes, and we will send that good energy back to you.
That's right. Much love.
But with that being said, Dan, you want to roll us out?
Sure will. It's okay to be out of this world with your thoughts.
Because you are not alone. Bounce on it, crazy style.